Hello and welcome back to my channel for another vegan and gluten-free recipe episode. Today I'm making this vegan BLT sandwich. Of course, the lettuce and tomato are already vegan, already gluten-free. Those are easy. I'll be telling you momentarily what I'm using to substitute the bacon. Fun fact for all of you, I decided to go vegan when I was 18 years old, and before that I grew up eating pretty much everything you can think of. There were absolutely no dietary restrictions, so of course I grew up eating traditional BLTs. Now that I don't eat bacon anymore, luckily for me, it is so incredibly easy to make a vegan and gluten-free version of this classic sandwich. Now that we've covered my love of BLTs, let's go through each of the 7 ingredients I'll be using to make this sandwich. Of course, we need some sandwich bread for the BLT. I love the hearty texture of this sandwich bread in particular. It's made by the Little Northern Bakehouse out of British Columbia. I'll be using a handful of this romaine lettuce. This is 1 Bushel Boy tomato. I'll be cutting this into thin slices. This is the ingredient I'm most looking forward to eating. It's tempeh. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a patty made out of compressed soybeans. It's locally made right here in Minneapolis. I've never actually used this brand before, but I saw the name of it, I saw the packaging, I thought it looked really cool, so I had to buy it. As you might have guessed, I'm using this tempeh as the bacon in my BLT. I'm also using this non-dairy mayo to spread on my sandwich slices, a little bit of this extra virgin olive oil to lightly cook my tempeh bacon strips, and lastly, some of this smoky pork seasoning, so hopefully my tempeh strips will taste a bit like traditional bacon. Honestly, I hesitate a little bit to call this a recipe because it's basically assembling a sandwich. It's super straightforward. However, there's a few ingredients I have to prep first before assembling the BLT. As I mentioned before, I'll be cutting this tomato into thin slices to put on the sandwich. I also will be toasting the bread on my stovetop to get it nice and crispy. And finally, I have to cut this tempeh block into bacon strips. I'll then take the tempeh strips and cook them on my stovetop in a skillet with some olive oil and smoky pork seasoning, and I'll cook the strips until they have a nice brown color on them. That's everything in a nutshell for this plant-based BLT. I realize I haven't linked a recipe down below. This was really kind of an impromptu decision, but hopefully you can find these 7 ingredients at your local grocery store or through an online shipping option and follow along with me at home. All right, it's prep time. I'm going to start by slicing up the tomato, and then I'll bring you over to my stovetop where I'll toast the bread and cook the tempeh bacon strips, and then I'll bring you back here to my countertop, assemble everything, show you the final BLT, dig into it, and let you know what I think. Now that the ingredients are all prepped and ready to go, it's finally time to assemble this plant-based BLT. Before I do so, I'll show you a quick close-up of the toasted bread and the toasted tempeh. So as you can see, I tried to get a nice brown on each side of the bread. I always err on the lighter side because I hate the taste of burned anything, really. And this is how the tempeh turned out. I'm really glad that the pork seasoning was able to give it a pinkish color so it does resemble traditional bacon on a BLT. So the first thing I'll do is just spread a little bit of this not mayo on each of the slices of toasted bread. Having grown up eating everything not a vegan at all, it does resemble the taste of how I remember regular mayo tasting. I also like putting a lot of mayo on because it kind of holds together the ingredients that are sitting inside of the sandwich. Now that the mayo is all done, I'm gonna start with the tempeh bacon, and then I'll add the lettuce and tomato, and then we should be ready to go. We can be a little ambitious with this BLT. Yeah, I think 4 is a good amount. I think tomato makes the most sense next because it's kind of like the second flattest ingredient. The lettuce is kind of all over the place. Okay, I think that's enough lettuce. I'm not trying to use the whole box here, so let's just get this sandwich topped off and I'll give you a final close-up. Doesn't that just look so appetizing? I love when bread has texture around the edges. I love seeing all the seeds, and then of course the pop of color from the tomato, the lettuce. I've never actually cooked anything with pork seasoning, so I'm interested to see how it lends flavor to the tempeh. Before I eat the sandwich, I actually want to cut into it so you can see a nice cross section of what's inside. Just look at that. I love when you can see every single thing in a sandwich. Oh my goodness, I am hollow inside and so hungry and so eager to try this out. So let's go. It's definitely hard to keep everything together in this jam-packed sandwich, but it is absolutely delicious. I love the flavor of the smoked pork seasoning. I actually want to go and grab the little container of it so I can read you off what all is in it. So the ingredients in this are hickory smoked salt, smoked paprika, onion, sugar, garlic, chili pepper, cumin, fennel, and citric acid. There's a lot of stuff in it and it really packs a ton of flavor. I think you could fool some people with thinking it was an actual pork product. I would say the two things that really make this sandwich are the toasted bread and the smoky pork seasoning. I'm just about ready to dig into the second half of this delicious BLT, but before I do so, I'm going to close out this vlog first by saying thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you thought of this recipe if you decide to try it out yourself. And of course, don't be shy. Please leave any recipe suggestions that you have for me down below that you'd like me to feature in a future episode. Take care, everybody. Eat well, and I will see you in the next episode on this channel. Bye!